Then I was a dancer, and then I come to New York, and I'm too afraid to audition. So my way of pouring my love about movement is through art and doing self-portraits. So I did hundreds of self-portraits, and I found similar alliances and energy by going to the galleries and museums and seeing other artists also painting the same thing. Next slide. Next slide. And then I made paintings out of the drawings. Here you can see movement. It's my way of making choreography at the time. This is 4 feet by 5 feet. So you see the bodies here, and they're like moving. The next slide, please. And then I bring in color. And at this time I'm discovering Picasso, I'm discovering his famous painting, The Women of d'Avignon, Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, and I'm begin being influenced by certain artists that I really loved. Mind you, I'm not getting any psychological help right now, I'm not getting any therapy. I just go to the canvas all the time, and in the evening I work as a cocktail waitress. Next. And then I bring in yellows here. Next. If you can see, there's orange and a little blue teal and the black. This really begins my facing some feelings. You know, what I realized the other day, and as I was working on this, while I'm making art and I'm just going through the life in my 20s, I'm not really thinking about feelings. I'm just thinking about, how can I be somebody? How can I just, I'm not even thinking about being happy, because it doesn't land in my body anymore. It's just about, how can I just look good? You know, how can I make it that I look like that I'm looking good and I'm doing well in life? That's when I meet a couple that I'd known in college that were dancers also, and then some truth starts bubbling up inside me. And the truth was that painting all the time and just working was okay, but I really, really wanted to start to get to know how to have an easier life, how to have a gentler life, how to, I can't even say the words at that time. They had a happy relationship. All the relationships that I had been in with men were horrible. And my parents fought, even though they're happily married today. They're married 64 years, and they're healthy. I didn't know how to do that. I had no self-identity. And so I take this course. I took the EST training in 1981. And this was the beginning of taking some personal development courses. Mind you, in our family, we didn't take courses, we didn't talk about our problems with strangers, and therapy were for crazy people. So in that training, I found out some things. I found out the number one thing was that even famous people, even people who look like they have it all together, are scared to death. But they are scared to death too. At one point I'm sitting in the course and the gentleman sitting next to me is barfing into a bag. The emotions of what was stirred for him in the course was too much for him to handle. And he is somebody famous. I just saw his picture on the back of a book at my friend's house that morning. He wrote Kramer versus Kramer, A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. It was the beginning of me realizing that, you know, straight A's, looking good, having certificates and all that, didn't amount to anything. We're all the same underneath. That was so freeing. And we did this exercise where we really I got that everyone has terror. Everyone is scared of one another. We're so scared. And we walk around like we're not. That was freeing for me, because I thought I had to be blonde and blue-eyed to fit in. I had to be American. I had to be different. Being who I was not gonna make it. In fact, I came in already, not messed up, but I came in with the wrong cards. And it was just gonna be harder for me. But the most freeing thing I got was that I get to choose. That there's a choice over and over again. And that was something that I didn't know. I got to choose how I was gonna relate to people in my family, regardless of what happened. I got to choose how I was going to relate to myself. after I did not fulfill on the scholarships that were given to me. I got to choose how I was going to judge myself or not. Next. Next slide. And so after taking that course, I saw that I could actually heal. One, I didn't know that I had something to heal. You know, you can be like a fish in water, not even know that there's water around you. You're just a fish and you're going through life. So you can be in so much pain but not even know it because you've never taken a moment to stop and look at it. So in the courses that I took, I started to have new doors that opened. New doors that opened repeatedly. And what I saw for the most part was that I didn't have to go and fix my past anymore. I didn't have to look at myself and analyze anything. Though it's fun to do. You can make nice stories about it. But what I saw is I could paint from nothing. I could paint from nothing. In the beginning I said doors of perception. If the mind is cleansed, everything is available. And that's what I got to see. So in 1988 I was guided to choose 26 motifs, which were drawings from the other drawings that I did. Can you change? And you can play the video. And with these 26 drawings, I created a language. And with this language, I started to create abstract paintings. And these are all abstract female nudes. And I just had them all up over my room. And I would just be drawn to juxtapose, place them against each other like a dance. Later, I got to see that de Kooning also worked in this process. And then as I painted, I would paint the foreground and the background and pull. And so this began painting from a really, really place of pure possibility. You know, from no place of pain, no place of suffering, just painting for the pure joy of it. Okay. These paintings here, this one and the next one, are right now on exhibit at the yoga studio at Herald Square. And so at this time, I'm starting to paint just with more lightness of being. The suffering is not there. And one reason why the suffering is not there is that I had gotten married. My husband's here today. And right at the very onstart of our marriage, I get really, really depressed. I mean, I'm looking out the window and I'm thinking, all right, I should be so happy. I finally meet a wonderful, kind, generous man. Everything that's been buried starts to come up. I want to die. I said, this is not a good thought. And so I learned about getting coaching and I went to a therapist. The therapist diagnosed me with me talking about my problems, saying, you know, alcohol probably is not your best friend. Because when you have a few beers because you can't find the right words, or you get a little nervous when you talk to your relatives, your in-laws, it's just not for you. At first I didn't believe her, but she said, you know, all the fashionable people are going. I said, okay, good, I'll try it. And I go and, yeah, at first I don't think I belong in a church basement. And I didn't drink every day. It's just that for me, in my body, alcohol didn't work. And when I got sober, my life went from experiencing, mind you, it wasn't black and white, because of course I live in color, but my emotional self went from black and white to full range emotions. All of a sudden I had access. I could talk, I could express myself. And if this was the result of not drinking, there's no way I was ever going to go back. No way. Because all my life, all I wanted to do was have a voice. And for me, that addiction blocked it. So, next painting, please. So I begin painting, and I begin to paint with freedom. Next painting. And around this time, other angels, other doors of opportunity come. You know, sometimes doors of opportunity and perception can be a friend telling you something that you don't want to hear. Like a friend told me previous to this painting, but I ended up giving it to her as a gift. She had told me, Barbara, if you don't change your life, you're going to end up being a homeless person. And that's pretty strong, you know, from a friend. But boy, do I thank her. Because sometimes I think the earth angels, the people that come into our lives, that are allowing us a possibility of a door, a new door opening, the messages may not be pleasant. And to this day, you know, of course we're friends, but this is one of my most favorite paintings, and I gifted her this painting. So at this time, I'm sober, my marriage is much better, because I'm not drinking whenever I have a problem. I have to learn how to communicate. My husband, who's a chiropractor, had a client, and this client needed some paintings for her apartment. She is a celebrity, and she needed these paintings for an interview that she was going to have on Access Hollywood very soon. So she asked me if I had any paintings that I could let her borrow, and I did. And so we brought some of my paintings out of this series. These are, again, abstract female nudes. This is 50 by 50 inches. And we brought them up to her apartment. They were on television, on Access Hollywood. She acknowledges me on television. And her name is Kim Cattrall. And then so these paintings, I feel, are similar to the energy. Shortly after that, she has her huge success with Sex and the City and in the films. So that gave me a window of perception that my paintings, and then she bought the paintings, that, you know, with art, I hadn't really talked about it a lot. I knew what I was trying to paint. I knew what I was trying to suggest and express. But when I started to have these breadcrumbs of acknowledgement from the universe, I started to understand that I was onto something. Even though I wasn't in the blue chip galleries on 57th Street. Well, back then they were called blue chip, now they're everywhere on 57th Street. So that was a wonderful earth angel that came. And then I started to work in acrylics, just more fluidly, more loosely, not really having to, again, I don't have to look at my past anymore, because my past is healed, again. And I'm working in acrylic, and I'm also working now in, next painting, in watercolors. Because after, next painting, after years of working in oils and sleeping next to them as they were drying, I got allergic. They gave me headaches. The linseed oil, the turpentine just didn't work for me anymore. And I was onto something lighter. So now I'm working in watercolors. And then I really wake up. You know, you can live in New York City for many years and not know that there's nature here. It's so easy to think that, no, we live in the concrete jungle. Well, if you got on a train for 20 minutes, you're going to see trees and gardens. There is a lot of nature in this city. But depending on your door of perception, you can very easily say, I'm in this horrible concrete jungle. No, change your vision, change your perception, and then you can see some of the most beautiful vistas of gardens and nature. And so I start painting flowers, next thing. And I go back, this is a painting, drawing, a charcoal drawing I did back in high school. So even before the turmoil and the alcoholic, and there were some drugs and abusive relationships, I could just take a piece of charcoal and do this like in 20 seconds. I could draw. And that ease came back into my life out of being saved by grace, literally. I mean, my drinking and drugging, the drugging was just a little bit of pot, though for some of us, a little bit of pot will kill us. You know, it's great if people can do it recreationally, but for me, it didn't work. There was a moment that I took a couple of hits on a joint. I had gone to pick up a paycheck at a restaurant that I had worked at in Wall Street, and like 2 hits, I walked to the curb to get a cab, and I am out of my mind. Probably something that was laced in it. I don't know where I live, I have no money in my purse, and I gotta get home. And my home at that time was up on 18th Street. The taxi driver helped me. He asked me where my bank was, he assisted me in getting money, he asked me where I live, I found my way to my apartment, and I found my way to safety in my bed that night. and I knew someone, an earth angel had protected me. So I had many moments like this when they used the word active. And for me, sensitive, yeah. At one point I had relatives say to me, do we have to watch ourselves like we're walking on eggshells around you? Yeah, you do. I'm psychic, I can read everything that you're thinking. And this is what I learned later on. I thought everybody had this ability. I thought everybody was like that sensitive. Yeah. And I mention this only because many of us are what's called empaths. Empaths were sensitive. We feel like sponges. But yet to be told, to walk around and say I'm sensitive could actually, you don't want to do that in some families. You know, you want to be strong. You want to be, you know, you don't want to be sensitive. You know, you want to be, okay, you know, I'm fine. But sensitive is a virtue. Every day, there are many of us who wake up conscious and go to bed unconscious. The goal of many people is to go to bed unconscious. That's their goal in life. For many of us today, who are onto something new, which has been around forever, we actually want to go to bed more conscious than when we woke up. We wake up, we make some choices, we go through some doors, we start discovering that it's fun, it's enlivening, it brings us energy to walk through doors and do things that we're afraid of. Versus, and I've been there before, when I've gone to bed unconscious. I didn't want to feel my life. I didn't know I didn't want to feel my life. I just knew it felt better after half a bottle of vodka. It just felt better. And I'm blessed that certain people came in my life and said, basically, what the hell are you doing with your life? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. But I took their suggestions. Next painting. And now I can paint things that before I thought was frivolous. I paint cats, I paint flowers. They make me happy. I don't have to paint suffering. I rescue cats. We take care of cats. I take care of stray cats. You know, it may not be about finding the next artistic theory. It may not be that I'm in the New York Times with an absolutely raving review. It may be that I can go to sleep at night and love being in my bed. Love being in my skin. To me, that's what the Tundra paintings are about. They are about finding for yourself that place, that door of perception that once you open up, you can never go back. You just can't go back. So, I was brought up not in any religion. My father was Baptist, my mother's Shinto. Japanese. I'm born in Japan. So pretty much my whole life I can choose what I want. So angels, I didn't really talk about angels till about 5 years ago. It was, you know, angels were angels. You put them on top of your Christmas tree. You know, that was about it. And then I met a friend of mine who I hadn't seen in a while. And I noticed that she looked fabulous. Not only fabulous, she had this glow about her. And I said, Heather, what have you been doing? She said, I work with the angels. And I'm like, yeah, right, you work with the angels, okay. Shortly after, I found out she had cancer. And she was in remission. And then about 6 months later, the cancer came back. She ended up dying. But during the time that she had it come back, she was peaceful. She was glowing. She was connected to something that was even more than, I'm going to say, my sobriety, which to me is my highest connection. And I just wanted to find out more about it. In fact, I was guided to go through that door and just find out more. And I started listening to my teacher, mentor, Doreen Virtue. And she's a Hay House author, and she's known as the Angel Lady. And I got my first deck of angel cards, and again, I use cards for myself, but a card reader, you know, you see the traditional, like an orange lampshade and, the turban, I'm going to be a fortune teller. No. What I found out from working with the angel cards is that they held energy. For me, being sober and being clear in my 50s just gave me access to feeling more, and feeling more. Being too sensitive, yes, I became even more sensitive. Even more sensitive. It's my goal to keep going in that direction. So, just a brief story. About 4 years ago, I had a mammogram scare. I had to go for a second opinion because I thought I might have cancer. So I used some of the angel therapy techniques to eliminate the stress in my body. And what are these techniques? Visualization techniques. That's all. You can do them in a matter of seconds. You don't have to be a Christian to work with angels. They are for everyone. As my teacher says, they're part of our physiology. They are just around us. Now, the only time most of us call on the angels are when we are in dire straits. Like we really, really need help. Then we pray. Otherwise, we don't pray. So, I use the techniques. I go to Columbia Presbyterian. On the outside of the building it says cancer. And I'm like, yeah, this is for me. I could have cancer in the next few minutes. And I take the elevator, I go up, and I see the other women. We're all sitting around in the waiting area to find out about our diagnosis, whether it's come back, whether we have it. If we have it, what are we going to do? The terror on the walls is so palpable. And I mention this because one of the most frightening things for anyone today is to get cancer or to get a condition where there's a very difficult diagnosis of healing. And I did my techniques, basically cord cutting, shielding. There's another technique called vacuuming, using your mind, using your focus. It's done like that. And I told myself and I told God, I said, listen, if I'm free of cancer, I owe it to myself to teach people this. Because stress adds more harm to your body. We all know that. So I was cleared. I didn't have the cancer. And after that, that was in April. It wasn't until August that I came out of the spiritual closet. And what does that mean? I started a radio show. I set up my webpage. And I just knew that it was my duty to teach this, amongst making art and doing other things, but to teach people how to do the angel energy clearing. This is a statue that's in the backyard at my parents' house. One of the things that happens when you make a commitment to keep opening the doors of your life is that God, the angel's consciousness, will reveal to you, when you're ready, that which will heal you. So, it was just a couple years ago, I'm now 63, it was just a couple years ago that I had a moment of remembering something. I had had several miscarriages right after I got married. It was very sad, it was very painful. I didn't want to talk about it, we didn't really talk about it. And then time goes on and it's kind of too late for me to have children. We park it. And then I remember going to a gynecologist and she says to me, oh, I can see, I'm really sorry for what happened to you. I said, what do you mean? I can tell that you were abused when you were a child. Oh, really? I knew it was true. I didn't remember the face or anything, but I'm a child. I'm like under 4 years old, 2 years old. I'm really, really young. The memory comes back. I physically remember a person on top of me. I remember not being able to breathe. I remember the terror, and then my body shudders, and then I just cry. Not long. I acknowledge it. And in the moment of this happening, I see that I have a choice. I have a choice to be a victim, or I have a choice to forgive. It's a very, very split second where I could choose to be damaged, to be disempowered, but the angel work had helped me. I saw I can forgive. The action is unforgivable, no doubt. But the person who is a family member, I forgive. All the doors that I had opened my whole life to allow self-expression so that I could communicate, that I could be present with people, with strangers, there was no way I was going to go back. There's just no way. I wasn't going to drink over it, I was going to overspend over it, and I wasn't going to cry over it anymore. So a lot of the paintings that you had seen here today had to do with searching for the original pain. And I also believe in my work today, this is my opinion, it may not be a truth for anyone, is that we choose our parents and we choose our situations in this life so that we can best learn the lessons that we need to learn for our life purpose. And my life purpose is forgiveness and compassion. So I had a rocky beginning. I was pretty good at creating this scenario. There are things that happened in and out. Today, in this moment, I don't regret a thing. Maybe 10 years ago, I might have wished for a bigger house, or at least a car. But today, I don't regret. Because one of the things that happens when you open the doors that are coming to you right now, these are angel messages. If you get repetitive messages about taking a course, about reading a book, about making a change, those are your angels talking to you. They either talk to you through your ears, through a human being, an earth angel, or you feel it in your stomach, you feel it, you can see it, you might see something, you may see, that's called clairvoyance, you may actually see a vision of you living somewhere, you doing something. By taking the steps forward, the universe conspires to help you. Again, I came here in New York City, June 1st with $100 in my pocket, no place to live. Actually, I was living with Benny Hanna, short-lived. But take risks. If there's anything I leave with you today, and with Tandra, find something that is your peace, whether it's yoga, whether it's meditation. If you're getting messages to detox in some manner, for some of us just getting off of caffeine changes the vibration in our body, which allows you to bring that vibration towards you, something loving. Try it on if you've not tried it before. So this concludes my talk today. At this point,